my motto is 1 + 1 is 11 if you're in the right room and with the right people, number one. Number two is when people ask me what I do, I say I collapse time. Because if you're with the right person, it's not about time. It's about having that person and that strategic partnership actually open more doors, create more opportunities, and create more synergy where 1 + 1 is 11. Because when you take somebody else's skill set, you match it with somebody else, there's good alignment with values, integrity, and their vision of where they want to go. But they both have different arenas that they've been building for decades. You bring those people together, oh my gosh.
All right, welcome everyone to another great episode of Business at the Speed of Light. We have Leah Notarianni on the program today. She is the CEO of Sinicropi Group, amongst many other things. We had a great vibe session on the Dave Meltzer show where we were co-hosts together. And I turned to her, I think that's how it went, and I said, I got to have you on the program. She's doing like really incredible things, has advised, some of the most important people in the world, so to speak, has advised clients and businesses, has an amazing jewelry company that, we'll get into, but you have got such a great spirit and you're doing such great things, and really a pleasure to have you on the show today.
It's so great to be here. It was always great to have the conversation.
So, sometimes I'll start off with like, more specific questions, something about your business or something like that. I'm going to start off with a very global question. You're doing so many things. Like, what drives you to go even harder? I mean, you've been so successful already, in your life. Why? Why continue? Why keep going?
Oh my gosh, I'm in the right place. I love this question. I think, for me, there comes a point in your life that you have this moment and you've hit the mountaintop. I think anybody that's listening here, you've either had a level of success, you've done some great things, and then you reach the goals that you once had. And you get to that top and you say, well, what's next? And for me, that moment happened a couple years ago that I said, if I were to look at the landscape of my life in its totality, what would I be really fulfilled about? How can I give and squeeze out every ounce of my potential that I believe that God has given me? And how do I help as many people as I can? And it really changed the entire trajectory of what I'm doing at Sinicropi Group and just how I'm moving in the world. And, looking at how can you impact as many people as you can, but actually do it, and knowing the right sequence of your life and in your business and when that's really the right moment to strike at that. So for me, that moment happened a couple years ago.
I think that's great. I love what it reminds me of is, I don't know if you're familiar with the David Goggins story about when he goes to heaven.
No.
And there's the list.
No.
So there's a list, and when he was sitting there, he always thinks about it. Some people don't think of him as a spiritual guy. He's a really spiritual guy actually, but there's a list. So when he was 300 pounds and was really struggling with his life, he says, he goes by graveyards and things like that. And he's like, if he was to die,
right.
He's like, and then you're standing you're standing at the line, right, trying to get into heaven. And they just have a list and they go kind of through your life. And he's like, he'd be standing there looking at his list saying, like 180 pounds, Navy SEAL, pull-up records, all this other stuff. And he's like, well, wait a minute, man, that's not me. That's not me. And he's like, and God looks at me and says, that was supposed to be you.
Ooh.
That was supposed to be you. And so it takes the opposite, approach now. It's like, he wants to go there and be like, man, I knew you were going to do some good things, but I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And it sounds like that's what you're trying to exceed
100%
and maximize, because we only have one at bat at this thing.
Right.
So as far as the, as your advisory, right? You're advising people. I think one of the hardest things for people of certain personalities to understand is that the worst thing you can do is go solo on projects when there's people out there that can absolutely help you guide, you to wherever you're trying to go.
Yes.
Like Meltzer always talks about this. He's already paid the dummy tax. Why would somebody else pay that dummy tax when you can just ask people that are doing it? And I certainly struggled with that in my life. I'm definitely have been a lone wolf and didn't want to ask for help. Now I ask anybody for help. I ask the people, like I asked the security guard at the front, you got any tips for me? I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do that. So can you talk about that, a little bit? First of all, what really blocks people from seeking the help, in the first place? You've been around so many, people have done, amazing things. And then just talk about how important it is for people really to seek trusted advisors, because it's going to absolutely double, triple, quadruple their output.
1,000%. So my motto is 1 + 1 is 11 if you're in the right room and with the right people. Number one. Number two is when people ask me what I do, I say I collapse time. Because if you're with the right person, it's not about time. It's about having that person and that strategic partnership actually open more doors, create more opportunities, and create more synergy where 1 + 1 is 11. Because when you take somebody else's skill set, you match it with somebody else, there's good alignment with values, integrity, and their vision of where they want to go. But they both have different arenas that they've been building for decades. You bring those people together. Oh my gosh, that's the magic. So I've realized over time and distance that I was that person. I'm like lone wolf. I had to do everything myself. And you do that and it's fun for a minute. And then you get the right partnerships. And don't get me wrong, I've had some not so great partnerships that haven't worked out. But in the hindsight, they actually all did, because they all taught me something that I needed to learn.
Absolutely.
A, about myself, B, how to make decisions, C, how to be around the right people, and really to find out sometimes what you don't want to do. Because you can think that you want to do something and then you step into a partnership that's building a certain company or going in a certain vertical and you realize, oh, maybe this isn't for me, but I helped them get to a certain place, and that's okay. And you can have a graceful exit. So 1 + 1 is 11. Find yourself, surround yourself with people. That. Like we're in an aura house, like be your big aura out in the world and like attract the right energy into your space. Because the more that you allow yourself to shine your light, the more that you allow yourself to be yourself and express yourself and share who you are and get in the right rooms, the more people are going to connect with you. Like I was sitting beside you on a podcast. I'm like, this guy's awesome. And here we are in the middle of LA. And that's how it works. So you got to be out in the world doing things and keep yourself open to a level of openness of, you can't do it on your own. And if you want to, go for it. But I promise you, it's so much more fun when you do it with other great people.
It's dramatically more fun, doing it with other people. I listen, guys, I am a testament, to that. My life has dramatically, taken off in the direction I wanted. But not only that, you also, are able to share your fears. You're able to, to share, heartbreak. When I say like heartbreaks, I mean heartbreaks, in business and things like that.
Absolutely.
You're also, but as far as what you said, collapsing time, I love that because to be honest with you, like for example, you have a wealth of knowledge, in the advisory world. We've been talking health and wellness, before the program started and this and that. But just if I myself just sit down, right, even if I have my friend Claude, one of my very, and I don't mean Claude from, Claude, the chief happiness officer over at VaynerMedia. She's super cool too.
She's great.
But Claude, like Claude or Manus or one of these other things, but sitting down by myself and strategizing, let's just say that I wanted to create a new supplement, whatever it is. If I sat down with you, it really is 1 + 1 is 11. And guess what? Then we do 1 + 1 + 1. We get another person in the room, and now it's 33, and on and on and on from there. And people don't realize that it's like sometimes people want to hold on to their own idea. It's just the weirdest thing. Like they don't want people. It's like, it's like even in business, some people don't want to partner.
Right.
I've met people that I know that if at least I partnered with them, so to some degree, and say, hey, I'll be a small partner, I know it would make a big thing. But I always just tell them, I said, 100% of zero
is zero.
It's just about zero. It's better being, 10% of a $10 billion company than 100% of a zero company or a negative company. So, I think that's huge. Now, being in the rooms, we got to talk about this a little bit. It's important. I mean, it's really important because we met, we just, randomly we're co-hosting, the same show, which was cool. I mean, it wasn't, I wouldn't want to say it's random. The universe made it happen, but you know what I mean? Why are people afraid to go outside of their comfort rooms? And despite the fact that when you listen to people that have made it, right? That's the advice they always tell you. They're like, go in rooms you feel like you don't deserve to be in. Go in rooms where you feel awkward. What are they going to do? Right. Like, honestly, what is the worst that can happen when they go in the? They're going to, like, first of all, they're not going to laugh at you because everyone's too busy worrying about themselves and why they're in that room. They don't even have the time. I mean, this isn't like ninth grade, the whole high school thing where they worried about you. But that's that fear of getting in those rooms. It's just, it can completely change your life being in those rooms.
It really can. And I think, when you look at moving through life, is like how many times you just talk to the guy at the valet or in the elevator, is most people are just sitting on their phones and in a silo of a universe. And I go out into the world and I'm just talking to people. Absolutely. And I just put myself in the most random, conversations and situations because I want to get to know other people in the world. Like, you never know who you're going to meet. And I look back at every big moment in my life. It was a person that I met that opened up an opportunity that I either provided value in, and that value came back 10 years later or 5 years later, or a connection that changed the trajectory of my company. And when you realize that the more that you give, the more that you get back in your life, and just giving and being that good energy out in the world and being that vessel of light, that's going to come back to you. And when you go out in the world and you go into different spaces and different rooms, like, you never know what's going to transpire. I would never say, like, 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, Leah, you're going to be working with big finance and doing these different things. I would have never thought that. But when I realized my skill set just opened up doors that led into different industries that some of them I knew I would be a part of. I always knew, like, entertainment, sports, kind of energy, all of that made sense for me. Like, mindset, being the person that's like the right hand behind the person that's really supporting them make all those decisions. That's always made sense for me. But some of the arenas that I'm in now, I didn't foresee, but I didn't foresee it because it wasn't a part of my vision. It wasn't a part of the peripherals that I could see. But until I got invited into different spaces and just said yes, I realized, wow, there's actually so much value I can bring into this arena because my mindset, my skill set, my strategy can cross-pollinate in a way that is actually like trailblazing in an industry that doesn't think like that. And it's the same thing for what you do, is like you're bridging worlds and universes in a way that it's creating something so unique and so different. And I think that's the piece, is don't ever be afraid. If you're listening to this podcast right now, don't ever be afraid to try something new. You never know what's going to happen. And the more you do, the more playful you get, the more curious you get, of just allow yourself to be fun. Like, don't take yourself too seriously.
And I want to talk about cross-pollinating.
Yeah.
Cross-pollination is really the way that some of the greatest inventions in the world have been made, because people come from one thing and they bring their ideas, to the other, like you're doing, in your thing. In fact, cross-pollinating is going to, let's take precedent in that, because I do want to, I want to talk about, because you brought me up. I never thought, I tell this to patients too. Sometimes people come, and I was sharing with you that, I treat some people, I mean, they are traveling now, across the country to come and see me for crazy diseases. And I honestly tell them, because some of them are like, well, you're a spine surgeon, how'd you do this? Sometimes they know I was, I am a spine surgeon still, but I do a lot of this integrative health stuff. But I tell them, I said 5 years ago, it would have, on the bingo card, I would have more likely, said that I was going to be a DJ in my future life than I was going to be treating these diseases. But I made the decision that I was really good at solving puzzles. And I've been solving puzzles for a long time as a spine surgeon, and all these crazy cases and all this other stuff. And I said, why don't if I take that mindset and then apply it and then create completely different ways of treating illnesses, which is what we've done. Like, we've developed all these protocols that have not been created before. I mean, I actually presented, like our concussion protocol, like to Harvard, and they were really interested. They're like, how did you connect? I don't understand. I said, well, I looked with a completely different lens, with not even colored at all, which is, I'm sure is exactly, what you're doing in your life. But you just have to, dive in. On the thing that you said before, we were just kind of talking about before, just go, you were just kind of, it's the short version is you got to just go for it. You live once. It's good. Yeah. Like 100%. Talk to everybody, right?
Literally.
We're right outside. We're looking at crypto.com arena. Go and talk to
go
talk to those people.
Yeah.
Go talk to whoever. It doesn't matter whether it's the guy at the concession stand or you see one of the players kind of hanging out, going in for training. But there's something Chris Williamson, said on one of his podcasts. I don't know if you're a Chris Williamson fan or not, but he's absolutely amazing. And he's like, here's a different way to reframe things. He's like, in 3 generations, not one person that is going to be around. Unless AI really does, let us. Then we might go to 5 generations. It doesn't matter. Say 5. We'll say 5 to keep it modern. But seriously, not one person we know in 3 generations is going to be here. So, what are we afraid of? What are we worrying about? And then the other thing, and I'm curious to hear your take on this one, is you have to name the thing that's holding you back.
Yeah.
You can't just it's the amorphous thing. Oh, what will people say? Because it's usually like one specific thing. So this is another thing I heard on a podcast. I don't know if it was his or whoever's. It's like once you name it, actually it was Hormozy, that said once you name the thing, it's Tom. It's like, I'm not going to do this thing because of Tom. So Tom's opinion is more important than my own opinion. Can you talk about that? People are so held back by stuff that we just make up in our heads that doesn't make any. It makes 0 sense at all, right?
100%. And when you look at not only mindset but past trauma, and you can go down the rabbit hole and all of those things. And we can do that, but the reality of it is when you look at your life and you really put it into perspective. So going back to a few things that you said a couple minutes ago, is the thing that changed my life. I was at a conference and a guy was on stage and he said, hell on earth would be meeting the person that you were meant to be on your last day here. And that has never left me. But there's been times that I forgot it. There's been times that I realized in building all the things that I built and doing all the things that I was doing previously to what I'm doing now, I realized, oh, wait, there's so much more for me to do, be, give, share. And when you succeed at something and you're not happy, oh my God, the level of pain that you feel is so intense. And I remember feeling like, wow, I hit all the goals, all the things that I wanted to do, but there was a part of me that wasn't happy. And I had to unravel and ask myself, who am I doing this for? Why am I doing this? What do I actually want to create in the world that's authentic? And I think if you're listening to this, you have to realize there's a moment in your life that you can change. And it doesn't take years. It takes a moment of a decision. And a decision that you decide today, that today's the day that you're going to go out and do it. It's like you can wait forever and you can listen to podcasts, you can do all the things, but nothing changes until you take action.
No, absolutely.
Right?
No, you're 100% right. And it's interesting because if you think about it, you need to, and a lot of people talk about this, so they're going to hear it on, all their favorite podcasts, but it is true. You want to shrink that time between when you have that idea and when you actually execute on it, because that can become endless. It literally can become your entire life. And you probably get to ask this question all the time. I'm telling, and I'd like to hear if you get the same stuff. Like me as a spine surgeon, I was very blessed. I built this huge practice. Everything, looks great. People are like, oh yeah, you're doing all this stuff, but yet, I want so much more. And I am telling you, people now seeing what I'm doing, they're like, why are you doing that? You're speaking on that stage. Oh, what's with the oh, you're getting more serious with the podcast. You're doing these things. Oh, you're building, these mastermind. What? They're so and my comeback is, I love doing it.
Yeah.
I'm very satisfied. There is no finish line.
Mm-hmm.
How many things have we already accomplished that said we're going to make us happy?
Right.
That's not what makes you happy. It's the journey. I just want my journey to continue until I'm dead.
Yes.
So I'm just going to keep pushing. And my journey, which I think we share a lot of, is we want to make other people's lives better. Because when you make other people's lives better, it's the best gift that we can give to ourselves. I mean, this is everything. Like sharing this conversation and doing those things. It's amazing. I'd rather be nowhere else. And then the people, they're just so, I don't even know what people want. I have this conversation, especially with my patients all the time.
Yeah.
They're so disgruntled, and I'm like, what is it that you want? Like, what do you even want? I was like, if you don't know what you want, it's just a rudderless ship, just kind of, floating around. Do you get that question a lot? Like, there are people they're like, really, with all your successes, like, how many more businesses?
Like, you want to go get a jewelry company now? Like, what are you doing?
Like, how many more businesses are you going to create? Why don't you just chill? Right? You get that. Why don't you just chill? I get that a lot. I'm like, you need to relax more. You need to do stuff. I'm like, I am relaxing.
This is
people,
the best.
On social, people are like, well, what do you do for fun? I always see you talking about all this stuff. This is what I do for fun. No, I'm serious. I'm like, and then they're like, no, what do you do for fun? Kayaks? And I'm like, no, this is what I want to do for fun, which is why I choose to do it in all my spare time. But anyway, it sounds like you're getting bombarded with the same stuff as well.
Well, I just love it because I think what you just shared is like, you have to do what makes you happy. And going back to like, what is the fear? Most people, it's like, how much joy can you actually have the capacity to hold? And that's a real question.
That's a great question.
How much joy do you have the capacity to hold? Because if you allow your life to just be in this little box and I'm going to do my little thing and it's going to be great and everyone's going to love it, that's awesome. But do you?
Yes.
Is that what you're made for? Like, what blueprint are you comparing yourself to? Because for me, I look at other people. I don't compare bandwidth. I don't compare capacity. I don't compare purpose. I don't compare vision. I just know that here is me. This is my lane. This is how I interact in the world. And I just help everybody around me. But I can't go and compare myself to somebody else. And when I look at other people, and you got to be careful for those that are listening, like, be careful of the people that are in your life that are telling you that you can't do all the things that you want to do.
Oh boy, now you're hitting on it.
Right?
You're hitting on it. We're gonna go there. Keep going. Keep going. Let's go there. Let's go. Get those. Get those people. Those negative people that are projecting their own stuff. Listen. I am 52 years old. It's taken me a long time to get those people the hell out of your life. You can't get them out faster. You know what? If they're your family and you have to see them on a holiday, so be it. But everybody else, it's like, don't take their phone calls and just say, you can text me in 2028. I'm busy until then. I'm being serious. Keep going. Sorry. Just pile on those people. You got to get them out of your life.
So the way that I've swung the pendulum a little bit in my life, I'm like, cut everybody out. And what I've realized is I right place people in my life. And what I mean by that is not everybody gets my inner access. Not everyone gets the like premium version of me. They get like, you have packages. We have packages. Like, you don't get to just like come to my house. I don't discuss certain business opportunities with people. I understand at this place in my life that not everybody can have capacity and understanding for that level of conversation. So if I'm talking about huge deals or big projects or literally like, how do we change the world? I can only do that with somebody who actually is delusional enough to have the capacity enough and the tenacity enough to go and do that too. Because I need some of that energy too, to be like, are we crazy? No, but let's do it. And I only work with people that are like at that level, and I won't, like, I'll share my ideas and everything else, but I don't allow that energy back in from everybody. And I think that's really important, is especially when you're growing something new and you're creating something new. And if you're doing anything, everyone is at least a rookie in an area of their life. I know for sure I am. I'm learning how to do all these different things that I've never done in business.
You and me both.
Rookies up at bat, and I'm so ready to swing, and I'm ready to fail. Like, I'm ready to like stumble on some stuff and like figure things out.
Stories, they're good stories.
They're great stories.
It's funny. You meet it's funny, like in the circles that that you hang out in, and and I've been blessed to be around. Like, the stories, the things that people have tried and done, it's nuts. And I always think and I always say, and I'm not calling people nuts because I always say I'm the craziest, like I'm a beyond delusional. I'm not even like delusion is, it doesn't, and sometimes I say like, when you have your conversation with yourself, I'm like, why can't I just be like normal?
Oh, I know.
Right? I can't be normal, but I'm always two things, came to mind there. One is like what you're saying about like, being delusional and having big dreams and big goals is like Will Smith. And I think I'm allowed to talk about Will Smith now. We're pretty far away from the slap, so we can do the whole Will Smith thing. But he just says like one of the things that bothered him the most was people are like always saying, "Oh, you got to be realistic. You got to be realistic." That is literally the dumbest piece of advice that's ever been out there. And I've had teachers like that, and I've had stuff. And clearly, you see by my personality, I wasn't vibing with the be realistic crowd because that makes be a realistic. So what? So I can be a robot? I could just be, just be a cog, like whatever. So I think you're absolutely right. Be delusional and do stuff. Don't kill you. I mean, obviously, don't. We're not telling people to jump off of a, come up with a flying machine and jump off of a building.
No.
We're meaning go for it, in life as long as you have some parameters you want to risk. You got to be careful. I don't want people to risk everything.
No, that's
but
that's
controlled risk, not being afraid. But another thing that that I always love and you bring up, and different people say it different ways, and it's nice to kind of hear the way that different. And you said it probably better than I'm going to quote Jordan Peterson. I hope his health is okay because he's been pretty sick. But he's like, compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who somebody else is today. And unfortunately, so many people spend most of their time comparing themselves to other people. You have no idea what their life story is. You might see somebody in a, driving in a Lamborghini and be like, oh, I want to be like them. But you don't know they're driving to the cancer hospital and they have 2 months left to live, or they just, got a divorce, or their kids will never speak to them again. You have no idea what their life is. So we need to worry about yourself and where you're going is, where your compass is, aligning with your, with your ethics and your moral vision. But for God's sake, don't put a lid on what your capacity is. And certainly you're not doing that.
No, sure is not.
No, you are definitely not doing that.
No, but I was for a moment of life. So there's been times in my life that I have. And if anybody's really honest with themselves and their journey, it's like, oh my gosh, I know what that feels like, which is why I know what the opposite feels like. I know what the opposite is, that I have some of my business partners are like, you are just... you're so funny on social and you're just showing such a different part of yourself. I'm like, yeah, because I don't care anymore. Because I don't have anything to prove. I'm not judging myself or others. I just want to be myself in whatever room I'm in. I don't care. I'm just going to have fun.
But seriously, how great is it? The most dangerous people in the world, in a good way, is when you don't care anymore.
Yes.
I literally, I don't care. All I care about it, like as I'm put my physician hat on. I do care, about my patients and making sure that I'm a certain way with them and doing what I need to do. But in my business life or like stuff like getting on stage, whatever I'm doing, all this stuff that everyone's like, oh, you're crazy. Why are you doing that? Why? I'm like, just worry about yourself. Yeah. But it's just funny when you don't care. It's the best.
Yeah.
When you don't care. I wish that I knew this when I was 20 years old. I don't understand what's going. If you do a funny video on social, and let's say like people don't like it,
it's okay.
But again, people don't what does that do? It doesn't do anything. But they're so hung up. They cannot, get themselves, to the other level. Now, speaking of great, ventures, your jewelry company. Oh, how in the world? I mean, it's a great venture. We talked about it. We talked about it some on the show, but just tell us, how did that come about? What's that all about?
So going back to the original conversation, you got to be in the right room. So I was speaking on stage and I met this amazing woman and she had this beautiful necklace on. We started chatting. It was her jewelry company. We met, I think maybe 2.5-ish years ago, 3 years ago. And we got to become really great friends. I got to understand her story, my story, our values. We just built this great relationship over like a year and a half. And I knew, and she knew when I met her, I'm like, I don't know what this is, but we're going to do something together. Like, yes, we're going to be great friends. Yes, this is awesome, but I don't know what it is. There was like this spark there. And we kind of explored some different opportunities and we're like, I don't know if it's going to be that, maybe not. And we flushed some things out and we did a couple projects together and we realized those projects maybe weren't the right match. And then we got to a moment that we said, are you ready to really like do something big together? Like, let's go do it.
Let's go.
And we were literally in a parking lot and we jokingly said, are you ready to jump in? And we like jumped in together holding hands. And we launched at the Oscars together. We had, is the moment we said yes, it's like the universe conspires in your favor. And the moment you realize like what you're really here for is like, for me personally, God will bring you the right people. And when you listen to that and it's the right timing of your life to do something like that, the doors that have opened are beyond my control. The opportunities and ability to give back is beyond anything I could have ever imagined. The way that we've come together and the energy that we've brought together has created something that is totally unique of my own doing and hers. It's like it's created this own thing in the world that is constantly building, constantly growing. And I'm just so grateful to be a part of it and to give back to all the things that we care about and to have a message go out in the world of empowerment and resilience and beauty and strength and being, a daily reminder when you put something on of like, I remember where I came from. I know who I am in the world, and just bathing in that energy before you walk out. Like, that's intention. People feel that. Like, what you practice in private, people will feel in public. And
absolutely.
I just realized that there's so many people that just need to gather, so many people that need to come together, so many glory stories to be shared of, what are the hard things that people have overcome? Because going back to what you were sharing about success and who you want to be in the world. Well, if you look at someone's success, and I've said this to even some of my clients and, people that have looked up to me, I'm like, if you want my success, you have to take my failures too.
Everybody wants your success, but nobody, but no one wants to go through the journey of doing it. They don't want to go through those failures, and it's painful. I have been through some very painful, situations, but it makes you so much better, right? And so much stronger. If you don't, the failures teach you more than the successes often. I mean, I've definitely found that because you figured out, it's like, I'm not the Thomas Edison thing for the 1,000th time, literally. But it's like, right? It's just like, no, I didn't fail. I figured out how, not to do it. And so, that's what it's all about. I think it's interesting with the rooms, the most random thing, and without giving away too much because we haven't announced anything yet. But it's it's so random, and it's funny. We're kind of like that. I'm just kind of like very similar. I was recently at an event that I spoke at, and I met this woman. She's amazing, by the way. She's an author. She authors children's books. And we just started talking, and we just kind of hit it. We just kind of hit it off. We were just talking. And next thing you know, we're gonna like launch a series of children's books talking about their, their health, how they can, how they can get their health back. So connecting the dots between what they do now and what goes down the road, like bad foods, diabetes, like not brushing your teeth, no teeth, like all that stuff. And it's really necessary. And that's a space that's important because it is so important to me. Health, obviously, prevention, but what we are doing to our kids, poisoning them with their foods and stuff like that. And then their parents being brainwashed and having no idea. And just feeding them all this stuff, the levels of ADHD, the levels of depression, anxiety, suicide. Think about what happened, suicide during the pandemic. It really came out. It really got on the map. I mean, we were seeing kids that were you don't even see kids this age committing suicide, which is what was happening, right? Because they were trapped in these. And a lot of it, though, is the food, the poisons were around. I could go on and on and on. People are like, here we go. Sinicropi's going to get on his soapbox with microplastics and all this stuff. But it is true. We're so crushing our kids. They don't even have a chance. Once these kids, I mean, think about it. They're 20 years old. They're chronically ill already.
Right.
from their life. So if we can, but again, being in those rooms, it's the most random thing. It happened over, it like literally, we started talking 48 hours later. We're like, hey, let's just launch a children, and we're already working on it, which is insane. So, and I love, and I love that stuff. And that's not like big, like doing a jewel, but it's like
It is big,
the
though.
universe, like, but I'm just saying, like the universe just opens it up, and all you really just have to say yes. Just allow yourself, to flow in these paths. A lot of people don't, and then unless it fits a box, this is what I'm going to do. This is my life plan, and I'm going to do this, this, and that. That doesn't work. That doesn't work for me.
It doesn't. No. And I always I don't know about you, but I feel like there's a bigger plan written on my life that I know the script to. And I'm just meant to follow the steps, and I'm meant to have faith and connect and feel into what, is actually there for me. And yes, I see vision, and yes, I see those things, but there's things that, like, how many beautiful things have come into my life that I didn't plan? Like, I couldn't have planned meeting my business partner. I couldn't have planned meeting some of these people that I've met that have changed my life. Like, I didn't plan that. What I planned is what I was going to wear, when I was going to show up, and how I was going to get to the either event or venue or whatever it is. So I think you get enough feedback.
Yep.
I call it feedback loops. You get enough feedback loops in your life that it's like, even if you don't want to go, you go because you've gotten enough feedback and you've stacked enough results. Is like, if you do these things are going to happen, and you might not always feel like going, or might not feel like you can or you can, or should I invest or should I not invest? All this stuff. And then you do it enough, and it's the same feedback loop. It's like you're always going to be in the right spaces. You're always going to meet the right people. And if you have a level of openness, beautiful things like that happen. And it becomes normal. It's not even it's magical, but it's also normal.
But it's normal. And again,
becomes your norm.
Yeah, but you're gonna, it's not like we're saying every time you go to an event, like you're gonna come out and you're gonna be like, you're gonna run into like Bill Gates, and next thing you know, like, you have this big. It's not about that. It's just about meeting people, letting it flow. There's billions of people in this world,
literally,
and we all have something to give. And the more opportunities you have to speak to people and start vibing with them and really getting inside them. Like, I love people.
Me too.
Like, that's why I like doing this, like the podcast thing, doing the podcast thing with my life and, schedule, and that it's not that, it's not that easy to do it, but I absolutely, love it. I just go to places and I just want to interview everybody. And when I say everybody, I mean literally everybody. I was like, oh, I should just interview them. I'll be at my wife at a black tie gala.
Yes.
And last time, this is a true story. I had my mics in my pocket just in case, and she's like, you are not gonna do that. There's no way you're gonna do that. She's like, leave people alone. I was like, no, they want to be interviewed. Trust me. So I kept myself in control. I can't help it because I start talking. They're interesting. I'm like, oh, I should pull out these mics and do it. I love it. That's why I just don't understand, like, not getting out there. Not everyone's an extrovert. They're not going to be out there. Not everyone is going to get so much energy. Like, I could do this all day. I know you can. Like, if my podcast lasted as long as I wanted them to last, they'd be 10 hours long. Totally. We'll just keep talking. We'll just talk about stuff and next topic, and we can talk. Next thing will be about the Lakers. We're right outside of crypto.com here.
Yes.
We'll say. I'm not a Laker fan. Sorry for the Los Angeles people. I'm in T-Wolves, man. Minnesota. Let's do it. So I would say, actionable items, right? So people are, they're wanting to know. They have somebody, like you. You have your, Sakara company. You're advising, incredible people all across the board. What are some what are some easy things that people should do if they're business owners and they're struggling and they just feel lost? Like, what should they do? What if they can't hire, an advisor? Like, what would you tell them, to do? What are the resources that, they can go to? Obviously they should hire your group, but that's if they can't. Yeah. Then what do they do?
Well, there's so much, for me, it's like, you got to get out of your own way. You got to be able to work with the things that you have in front of you, go to different places, see different people, take some time also. I love being out in the world doing all the things, but I also spend a lot of time by myself.
Yes.
I really like, I spend a lot of time thinking, processing, mapping things out. Like you, I'm a pattern matcher. I will look at patterns in the world and see like, oh, what about this? And like put them in different arenas that does like normally that configuration doesn't work in. And oh my gosh, get in your body, move your body, make sure your health is
Yes.
priority. Cause I don't believe
Now we're
that
going.
you can,
Now we're going to.
like
Now
real
we're going to
talk.
my
Like
world.
I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
what do? You need to go for a walk every single day. You need to clear
Yes.
your vessel. Like if you can't be thinking, you can't think
I
clear
mean, that
if your
literally
body's not
changes. Just
clear.
taking a walk literally changes
It'll change your life.
hundreds of chemicals in your body.
Yeah.
Actually change your cortisol levels. You know, you have
Everything.
dopamine, all oxytocin, all these things change just from taking a walk in
Yeah.
nature. Yet most people will sit and stare at their social media
It's
for
not
their
gonna
entire
fix
lunch
anything.
break in their
Yes.
cubicle where they haven't moved,
No.
waiting to get a blood clot, in their legs, just to
Seriously.
go home, to eat bad food, to then wake up in the morning, to not move, to go back to that same cubicle, rinse and repeat until you're chronically ill. And that's about it. I'm sorry to cat. I mean, I'm Mr. Optimist.
Tell 'em,
But I'm just,
yeah.
it's just the truth.
It is. And I mean, like you got to move your body and you got to change your daily patterns. Like go take yourself out for lunch by yourself. Go talk to different
Like
people that
that.
you've never talked to. Like like those same things that are
Yeah.
going to make you successful, like you
Yeah.
have to do them everywhere. It's not like you just try it on for like
Yeah.
one day. Like make it become a habit, but you got to move your body. You got to get out in the world, put on some of your favorite music, go jam out in your car, be obnoxious. Like you got to break out of, being the habit of just being the stuck version of yourself.
You have to just almost break the habit of being, yourself. That's my buddy Joe Dispenza. I mean, it's a big problem. You ever notice, it's funny because listen, in business, right, and in life, and me as a physician, you're gonna have bad days, right? There's days
All the
days
time.
that suck.
Yes.
It just sucks.
Absolutely.
Right. And we all, as successful as you are, I'm sure there's times you're driving in your car, you're like, and people, and it's funny, you're like, my life sucks right now. It does. Sometimes it sucks.
Yes.
It sucks for everybody. We get that. But you ever notice that when you do that, then you just decide, like you said, you'll just go to like a little mixer that like was in your inbox, or you just decide to, to stop by your like aunt's house or something like, and you have a conversation. By the end of that 30 minutes or whatever it is, your mindset has totally changed. And sometimes you're like, man, the stuff I'm worried about, or you hear somebody else's problems
Yeah.
and you're like, and I'm feeling sorry for myself.
Right.
Because that deal didn't go through, or they didn't answer that email, and I was really excited about like doing this other project, and they're clearly not interested. This is not. So it is about like really shifting that mindset, and I love that. So I think as we kind of come to the end of this amazing episode, I wish this was a long run. I've gone away from my 2.5 hour marathon episodes because people like they can hardly get me TikTok.
I hear you.
This is the environment. I think they're going to stick around though for you. They're not going to
Let's
change.
hope so.
They are not. They're going to, if you get to this point, good job. You did a really good job. We just have to touch on the health and wellness piece because we talked
Yes.
about it before. It's very
Yeah.
important. Then here's where we have a tremendous amount of overlap. Actually, like my passion in life is really trying to help people guide them on their health journey, which is their life journey. Because without it, there ain't anything. And we talked about, you have a million problems and then you get you get sick and then you have one. There's literally one thing. And so, yes, I treat like really sick people now and all kinds of things. Like as I talked before, and they come and travel to see me for stuff. Honestly, I can't. It's hard to describe. It's funny. Some of my colleagues, they see some of the stuff I'm treating, and they literally it's like they make all these jokes about it. They're
Yeah.
like, "What are you treating that? Like, what other?" I'm like, I love this stuff because you just go back to the
great.
basic science textbook. For me, it's easy. I call the smartest people in the world. And I say, give me a 1 hour, and that's better than a class at Harvard or Columbia, kind of where I went to school. But anyway, going back to the preventative thing, it's really important. You take care of people that have a lot on the line, right? They're hiring your company, which means they're serious, right? Because serious people hire you.
Yeah.
Like if they get sick, it's a disaster. But here's what people don't understand. That applies to everybody.
Yeah.
Like the connecting the dots when you're feeling okay, even if your lifestyle's horrible, you're feeling fine. I feel fine. Why are people bothering me? I'm fine. Right. I'm like, well, you're not going to be fine. Give it a little while. I mean, but connecting the dots between where they are going to be if they get ill is really hard for people to do. It's just like there's something in our brains that don't allow us. Now, again, I don't want people to think negatively, like sitting around being like, I'm going to get sick and I'm going to, no, I don't want that. But what can we do? Like we need to think about how to prevent it. So talk about that. I know that you were just saying that you're so much, but you're that's, I mean, you've consulted in the health and wellness space, but you're not a provider, but yet you're giving the same information I'm giving to them. It's like, you got to get your health in order, because if your health is in disrepair, that's a different problem. That's altogether a different problem. That's not like, oh, let's fix the balance sheet, or, oh, hey, we have a problem in shipping. Let's do this other thing. Oh, we'll use a different freight. No. Different problems. Now you might be in a situation where it might take years to get you, reversed. If we can reverse you.
Right.
So can you talk about like why you're so passionate about that and why you're hammering home the same point? Because we started talking about it and we started our show late.
Yes.
Because we did the show before the show and we should have recorded that, because that was a whole show on. Yeah, it's just like, why wasn't the mic on? But anyway,
That's
go ahead.
Here we are. Well, first thing is that it's difference between being healthy and being optimal. And there's a difference between having no symptoms, because people can have no symptoms and then all of a sudden one day wake up and have a stroke or a heart attack or get sick. And that's a huge difference of like having no symptoms to being actually healthy and optimal. So my biggest passion is, a few years back, I ended up getting a little bit sick with mold toxicity, ended up having to do years of detoxing. And for me, I'm like, I don't drink, I'm healthy, I work out, And I was starting to have these symptoms after my house flooded in Nashville. And I'm so sensitive in my body. So I was able to get rid of it really pretty quickly. But that process, oh my God. That was the most intense. It's brutal.
I treat a lot of mold toxin illness. It's wild.
Experienced. I said, God, I literally on my knees praying. I said, God, if you bring me through this, like I will do whatever you want. Like whatever you are calling me to do in the world, like whatever I haven't been, like I got so spiritual. I went so spiritual and so holistic at the same time. And all kidding aside, like I could have died. And I was, doing all of the things, looking at everything that I do. I'm like, I live a healthy lifestyle. I'm like, how the heck do I get sick like this? This is crazy. Because if I can get sick like this, anybody can get sick like this. And I'm not in comparison, but like, I really take care of myself. So when I went through that journey, I just realized that A, this can happen to anybody. B, oh my gosh, what am I not seeing? And C, now I have this amazing resource of doctors, holistic practitioners, and I have such a different reverence for my health that is so beyond fitness. There's a difference between real health and like health and fitness. And I don't think people connect those two. Like you can be really in shape. You can, work out every day. It does not mean that
totally
your organs
different.
Completely like you can't, that's not a measurement of health.
No.
It's a part of it, but it's not the whole thing. And if you really understand your organ health, your systems of elimination, your toxicity loads, microplastics, all of these things that are accumulating, like I don't believe that us in America right now, there's nobody that has a pass to not look at this anymore. Our living environment is so different.
Nobody has a pass. Yeah. And I can tell you, I'm going to, without joking,
yes,
it's close to less than 1%.
Right.
Of the patients that come and see me have ever been tested for heavy metals,
mold
toxicity. 50% of structures in the United States have water damage. 50.
It's insane.
And there's a gene, it's called HLA-DR gene. If you have that, 24% of the population has it, not 2.4 or 0.24, 24%. If you have that gene, It's a big problems in mold, but everybody's going to get sick in the presence of like your house gets, you're going to get sick. I mean, you really have, serious mold illness. But the truth is people don't connect the dots, and believe it or not, in our society, and I was telling you that I am so involved in treating mold toxin illness. It's a passion. I've actually written numerous white papers on mold toxin illness and neuroinflammation, and the fact that we are missing the boat. And I can share with you offline, a lot of the different strategies that we use for mold toxin illness, which is very dramatically different than anybody. It's very different.
So excited to hear about it.
It's very, very different. But the bottom line is people are not getting tested for these things, and they don't feel well. So if I go in, if you are my doctor, let's say you're a doctor, and I go in, I say, I don't feel well.
Right.
Doc, what do you mean you don't feel well? I don't know. I have no energy. I have brain fog. I feel like crap. You're going to get me my standard labs. If you're, the standard doc, you say, you have clean bill of health. You're good. Go find the hobby. Oh, you got to go to the gym more.
Yeah.
Because going to the gym more, that's what fixes mold toxin. You know what I mean? So you're not even investigating. Unfortunately, when it comes to things like mold toxin illness and Lyme disease, the amount of gaslighting that patients have to suffer. And I don't care. I talk about this stuff for you. Talk about not caring. I no longer care. I just call it like it is. My patient. So first of all, for mold, and for mold and for Lyme, and you could even say for some of there's other things that are in that category, but those are two biggies. 6 to 7 doctors before you even get a diagnosis. That's because most of them are too busy denying that it even exists. Do you know how much legal stuff is going on with mold toxin illness about whether it's real, it's not? Oh, I'm testifying in a bunch of cases on mold toxin illness, and there's all these things, and there's statements that I've made, and then they're like, well, that's not accepted by all this other stuff. I'm like, I see it, and it doesn't, I don't care what's accepted in the law. There's nothing to do with treating, people. So without getting into a big, dissertation of the stuff, I'm really glad that you got over it because it is very difficult. There's people that suffer from mold illness for years. I mean, people lose their homes. I do telehealth visits with people from all over the place. And some of the conversation is they're like, I can't even afford medical treatment because I just sold my home. I just had a consultation. This is like 2 weeks ago. The guy was in a hotel room. He's lost his house. He's lost everything. And so I consulted on him on what to do for his mold illness. I said, we have to do this, this, and that. So we're looking for resources and ways that we can help him. It's devastating what happens to people. And that's why they need to, one, advocate for themselves, CEO of their own health, but they also should consider having guides that can help them like you have. Like now you have guides, and I'm sure that you tell all your people, hey, I have because you have all these great doctors and all these people that are helping you. Yes. You're like, you need to go to these people. Like, what are you waiting for? But it's hard when you're not sick. Right?
Until you are. And here's the thing though, is like, you might be sitting and listening to this and like, oh, I didn't get sick. Well, neither did I until it happened literally overnight. And because I wasn't so far off the rails of that, I was able to come back really quickly. Thank God. And at the same time, you have no idea how good you can feel when you clear out just a toxicity bucket, because we all have that in our systems. And if you start to like empty that and upregulate your immune system, like people think I'm crazy because I don't drink caffeine. I don't drink. And they're like, you have so much energy. I'm like, well, if you really understand. Because
you clear your toxins.
You clear your stuff out. You just.
While I'm sitting here drinking my coffee during this whole thing. No judgment. I'm not judging. I'm not judging.
No judgment. But like, it's just, caffeine doesn't work well with my system though. It's just like, some people really thrive at it. For me, I can't. But when you really clear out the things that are in your body, you have no idea how clear you can think, how your body will move differently, how you sleep better, how you think differently. Like, it's a big deal. And when you know how good you can feel, it's like you literally want to tell everybody, like, hey, there's a path to this. Like, if you know that something's going to collapse, do you want to prevent it, or do you want just the excitement of the chaos of it collapsing? Well, I don't need that level of chaos in my life.
I'm good without it.
I'm good. So if I know that, it just becomes a preventative maintenance that I'm excited. I love doing the things that I do now for my health.
And it's interesting because when we talk about, there's different ways, again, I want to turn this into a big medical show, but there's different ways to do detox detoxes and things like that.
Yes.
I'm not going to get into it, but I can tell you that, recently it's funny. I posted Kevin O'Leary getting EBU therapy, which is a form of ozone therapy.
Yeah.
It's something that we do regularly in our clinic.
Amazing.
And I said, and the post was, 2 things me and Kevin O'Leary have in common. We're both bald. And we both do EBU therapy, right?
Yeah.
But it's interesting in the comments, and this is where people, there's a lot of people that were interested, a ton of people, because I said comment EBU if you want more information. So we give them a bunch of information. But then there's always those people, like people were on there like, yes, the doctor conveniently forgot to leave out all of the, devastating negative consequences. And I said, well, that's interesting, because in 20 years, there is not a single report of this type of therapy there's not one. I said, show me the case report. Show it to me. There's so much misinformation out here that blocks people. And one of the most frustrating things for me as a doc, they come to me, people, they feel like they're miserable.
Right.
I know they have high toxin loads. They have all this stuff. And I could look at them and say, hey, we're not going to tell you, we're going to cure you, we're going to do this and that, but you're going to feel so much better if we get your toxin loads down, if we do all this biohacking strategies, if we just do all this stuff. But first of all, I don't even know what you have, because no one's tested you for it.
Right.
I can't even begin to tell you how many people decline on taking care of their own health. It's actually one of the most frustrating, things. And they'd rather, they're like, well,
they'd rather not know, maybe.
They don't know. They're like, well, I went back to my primary and he said, there's no evidence on, like light therapy doing stuff. I was like, well, did they read any of the 7,000 articles on it? I was like, I kind of know a little something about it. And things like, they'll say, EBU therapy, I looked and, the FDA said, like there's danger. I'm like, they're talking about a different type of ozone therapy, not EBU. There's so much missing. It's really holding people back. Like from the most basic, simple stuff. Or, my insurance company won't pay for a heavy metal test. I'm like, you've never been tested for heavy. So you'd rather not, spend, whatever the cost is, because we do it through a third party lab. Whatever that costs, you rather not do it. You just want to stay toxic.
Yeah.
It's a great idea. That's a good idea. Literally, people cut their nose off to spite their face all day, every day. But then you get the flip side. You get those people that come in, and unfortunately, it's usually the sickest people and who I see. And I say to them, well, this is the plan. It's going to cost you significant money, because it's not covered in the traditional medical system. And they just look at me right in the eye. They're like, doctor, stop talking. They're like, whatever you say, I'm going to do, because I've gotten to the point I no longer have a choice.
Right.
It's either do this or I don't want to be around anymore.
Right.
I don't want to live like this. It's pointless. So it's just so interesting, to see the psychology of what goes on. And you see that, right? With your side, like the psychology of how they think through their business strategy ideas or whatever, or how they handle their partners that they hate and want to get out of a business or whatever. It's pretty crazy. I'm really glad though that you got through the mold toxin, because I see them.
Yeah.
Did you have a lot of brain fog?
I didn't know I had brain fog. So for me, it was more like hormone tired.
Oh, okay.
Couldn't really figure out what was going on.
So you had more like pituitary axis stuff with the whole hormonal
it wasn't
imbalances.
too bad, because I was still running companies, speaking, or I was still doing all of my stuff.
Just weren't quite.
I just wasn't. I was like a little bit off, and then that little bit off turned into, oh my gosh, fatigue. And then when I unlocked all the things and started detoxing, some of it went a little too hard, too quick. But it came
and that's
back.
what we'll talk about offline.
Oh,
that is the so that's
you got to
why
find the right people. I had some.
We've
kissed a couple
totally
toads in that
completely
arena.
changed the strategy. I actually. I have a white paper I wrote, and it's restoring the terrain and mold toxin illness. You have to donate energy to the body before you allow it to detox.
Yes.
It is the missing link. It is not done right now, and the people can detox so hard they're actually sicker than they were before. But then they also become sick from too many supplements that are doing it, and then they got the whole. And then you're trying to do the binder thing you're trying to do, but you don't have lymphatic drainage. And I know I'm talking to the right person, so we can. we can
Yes.
continue.
Yeah.
So listen, this has been amazing. I have to have you back on the show.
Yes,
we
I
got
would
a
love
lot,
that.
you know,
Part two.
that we didn't cover before. How can people find you if they just say, "Oh my God, this woman's amazing. I have to have her on my team." I have a company, or I'm a doctor looking to get to the next level, or whoever. Because I know you consult. Your consulting is like across the board. Like there's no right business that you don't touch. So how do they find you, and where do we get your jewelry?
Oh, thank you. Well, you can go to gloryjewelry.com. And I mean, you can email me at leah@sakaragroup.com. Look at me on socials and just, reach out anytime.
Well, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank
this
you
is
so
great.
much for
I hope you
having
guys
me.
enjoyed it.
Yes.
And listen, she's been, amazing. You've been through your own health journey.
Yeah.
You know it. She's not afraid. Don't be afraid. Get out there. Get in rooms you think you don't belong in. It's literally, it completely changed my life. It's clearly,
Yes.
Changed your life. And listen, we're sitting here because we both went into a room. Not that we didn't belong to. Actually, it was the right room. In that case, it was the right room for us. But it's a room we didn't have to go. We didn't have to travel there.
No.
To go there to do this show. But again, get in those rooms. Don't be afraid. You only live once. In 3 or 5 generations, depending on what happens, you ain't gonna know any of these people anyway. So do what you have to do. And thanks for watching Business at the Speed of Light with the 2 shows. Watch them both, by the way. But Business at the Speed of Light. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you guys next time. And thanks so much for being on the program today. It was awesome.
Thank you.